The Aztec Empire is founded around a city known as Tenochtitlan, and this is built under what is today Mexico City. Now, you may sit there and go, well, that doesn't look anything like the image that I just saw. Well, the reason is the lake was a fairly shallow lake, really marshy area that Tenochtitlan is built on. And when the Spanish start to build, they start from the center and then they start filling these canals. Tenochtitlan originally would have been far more similar to Venice than it would have been to Mexico City today. All of these marshes used for transport and the use of canoes to get from the island out to the land. There were some causeways as well built out, but typically with bridges so that you could prevent someone passing over them. As the Spanish build out, they simply fill in the canals and fill in the lake until eventually the lake disappears, which is exactly what has happened. But while we're in Tenochtitlan, we're actually looking at Templo Mayor, and these are the ruins of Templo Mayor today, and this is right behind the major cathedral in Mexico City. Again, an example of building a church on a religious site belonging to a previous powerful religion. It's a show of power. So, let's talk about Templo Mayor. It's actually a dual temple, to Huitzilopochtli on the right and Tlaloc, the god of rain, on the left. Now, when we look at Templo Mayor, we'll notice that there were various shells built. In the Mesoamerican tradition, what they do is they actually start with a much smaller temple, which we see here in this model. And then they simply pile rubble over it and build another shell to build a bigger temple. And they continue to develop it. This is sort of rapid architectural iteration. They continue to do this, and this would show their piousness for this god, or in this case, these gods. So it's very typical in Mesoamerica. Of course, we saw sacrifice at both of them, to Tlaloc as well as to Huitzilopochtli. Very common. The cellas, of course, are not there anymore, but they would have been bloody. They would have been filled with the sacrifice, and oftentimes the sacrifice is the heart. What they would do afterwards, after taking out the heart, and they used an obsidian blade. By the way, we still use them today for eye surgery because you can't get a sharper blade. But they would cut through the diaphragm under the rib cage. You would reach up, take the heart, pull it out. The victim, of course, is put across a stone, which looks something like this, underneath him to open up that chest cavity. And then they would throw the body down the stairs. And that will become important later on as we look at some of the sculpture that's at the bottom of the Templo Mayor. So we have these bloody cellas, we have the sacrifice. We also have the different parts. So, for example, we have this massive monolith at the base of the Huitzilopochtli side. And that's going to be for the body to land on. It becomes particularly symbolic. We have serpent heads throughout because of Quetzalcoatl, typically. We would have a sacrificial stone, again, something that looks like this at the top. We would have the temples, which of course are no longer there. And these temples acted like cella as we see in any other society, so only the priests could enter. There would be a chakmal in either cella to accept that sacrifice. And these are very steep temples, so this would not be the easiest thing to climb up, and it would allow the body to just sort of fly down these stairs into the crowd, which would be gathered underneath watching the ritual take place.